K'Wan Williams, obviously the nickelback for this team, one of the leaders in this secondary. We bring him back on a one-year deal. The money has not been announced yet, but I assume considering that we've been clearing up a lot of cap, I don't know how big it is or how small it is. I would assume it's kind of in the Verrett range for money, $5.5 million a year. I mean, nickelback isn't as valuable as like a cornerback 1 or a cornerback 2, something that you would lock up those big receivers, but it's still a valuable position, especially for the 49ers with K'Wan Williams. In my opinion, K'Wan Williams is a guy who, even though he is a phenomenal guy in our secondary, he could have been replaceable, but I'm more than happy to bring him back. He was the best option out there, and we had the money to get him, so it's that simple. You go and get him. He's been a crucial part to this team, as I've been saying, and you bring him back on a one-year deal. But one thing that I was kind of concerned about with the secondary, with bringing K'Wan back, with bringing Tart back, with bringing Verrett back, they're all in one-year deal. So you're going to have this problem again next year where your secondary is going to be fairly depleted in free agency. I don't know if that's a money thing. Maybe they're trying to clear up cap for this year, maybe go all in and get their quarterback or something like that. But they definitely have a plan up their mind, considering they're giving everyone one-year deals. Besides Emmanuel Mosley, which is kind of surprising. He's the only one that gets the 2-year deal, but they definitely have something up their sleeves. So I definitely think it's important to see what happens with the secondary. And maybe you'll bring a guy in the draft who you'll lock up for 4 years, 5 years, depending on where you draft him. But overall, I'd give this deal an A for that reason. So, yeah. Nick, what you got to say about K'Wan Williams?
My rankings as far as who the 49ers should prioritize with their in-house free agents, I had K'Wan Williams right up there in that 2-3 range behind Trent Williams, and more so of a priority to bring back than Jason Verrett. Of course, this past year, Williams battled a handful of injuries. He played half the season, and that was uncharacteristic for him in comparison to previous seasons. He's never played a full 16-game season, but he's always been in that 13, 14, 15-game range. And the reason why I had K'Wan Williams prioritized over Jason Verrett personally is because, of course, Verrett was able to overcome he was able to overcome his previous injury history this past season, put together a pretty full year, but there's still that concern there. Can he continue to stay healthy over a 16-game season? I have more confidence in K'Wan Williams to do that than Verrett. But getting more to the on-the-field stuff, going back to 2019, K'Wan Williams was the best playmaker on the 49ers defense. The best.
Easily.
Oh, I should say in the secondary, be a little more specific there, because you got to factor in Nick Bosa, Fred Warner. But in the secondary, if you want to talk about a guy generating turnovers via forced fumbles, interceptions, getting sacks, K'Wan Williams was flying all over the field. And I get the argument that he could have easily been replaced maybe in the draft, grabbing a guy like Elijah Molden. But what K'Wan Williams, the slot market in general, it's just, there's not a lot of hype there for whatever reason. Even Quentin Dunbar, who was looked at as the best slot cornerback in the game. The Seahawks traded for him for a 5th round, 6th round pick. So you can see it right. And that was before all the legal stuff even came out, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that was like in March.
Yeah, beforehand. So I kind of saw this happening, and I thought K'Wan Williams lost himself some money just by not being able to stay on the field this past year, because he had so much momentum. He had so much momentum going for himself from 2019 transitioning into 2020. And in that contract year, he just had a lot of unfortunate things go his way, where he wasn't able to stay healthy for one. And then he had that suspension that was issued to him that was later revoked, because I guess he tested for PEDS, but it was like a false positive. I don't remember
about that.
All of the logistics. So I kind of thought around the mid-November, early December range, like, okay, K'Wan Williams' market's not going to be as hot as maybe others are thinking. So I'm stoked that the 49ers were able to bring him back. And I don't know if it's going to be as high as the Verrett contract. I can see it kind of more being in the $3.5-4 million range. And one thing about these one-year deals, all we can do is just kind of hope that the 2022 salary cap, because of the new TV deals, just skyrockets. And because there's not a set number right now, maybe the 49ers are kind of playing it more cautiously with these guys who at first they didn't think they were going to be able to bring back, and now they are able to bring back. So I'm sure they'll reevaluate how things look next year. But you're right, they are going to be in a very similar position where, oh, great, we had Verrett and K'Wan Williams and Tart all come back on these one-year deals. Now we got to kind of go through this again.